Good afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Thursday, September 21st, and we are getting for week 3 of the FCX football schedule and a big weekend ahead. Number 1 and number 3 squaring off in our game of the week on Saturday afternoon. But we've got 7 other games to get to before that. Frank Granito in studio alongside Kevin Coleman and John Kovac, and we're talking about a week in the season that's really going to be make or break here for a couple of teams now, gentlemen.
I think Friday night is the one big make or break game because either Trumbull or New Canaan gets to 2 losses. That makes it a really uphill climb to get into the States.
No, I agree. This Trumbull New Canaan game, if whoever loses is really in a lot of jeopardy for the rest of the season. That's the one game I think a lot of people have to keep an eye on. There are some intriguing matchups as well. Norwalk has to bounce back after a tough loss like West Hill, but this New Canaan Trumbull game is easily the biggest game Friday night.
You can argue against that. Obviously, I think Saturday afternoon, St. Joe's and Darien.
Well, that's Saturday.
No, he said Friday.
Friday
He said
night.
it's the biggest
Friday
game
night.
Friday.
So it's a split. It's an even split too.
Yeah.
You've got 4 games Friday night, 4 games Saturday. Wilton and Ward on Saturday is a very intriguing matchup to me, both coming off tough losses, and I mean beatdowns of losses. One of them could potentially still keep themselves in the playoff hunt with a win. The team that loses is really going to be behind the 8 ball. You're right, Kevin. Norwalk hosts Fairfield Ludlow. That's a game the Bears should win, but how do they bounce back coming off the difficult loss against West Hill? You've got Ridgefield and Central. West Hill at Danbury looking to go to 3-0. Staples is at Brian McMahon. Trinity and Stanford, our first city championship matchup in Stanford. And Greenwich on the bye week. We're going to talk a little bit about Greenwich in a minute, John, because there's some interesting things we've noticed with the Cardinals' schedule now here. But let's go right to the games. Let's start Ridgefield at Bridgeport Central on Friday night at 7 o'clock. The Tigers coming off a 49-0 win over Stanford. Central coming off a bye. Even with 2 weeks to prepare, I don't know if that's enough for the Hilltoppers.
I don't think it's going to be, considering what Ridgefield was able to do this past week against Stanford. They had a tough, week 1 loss to Darien. At times, I thought the offense looked pretty good. They were establishing the run game, I thought, but Darien's defense was too good. And then I think they really got that offense going against Stanford. So it was good to see them bounce back. I expect to see them have a good game against Central too. Greg Gatto looks more comfortable in the pocket. So the Tigers are going to roll, John.
A bye can work 2 ways. You can come out of it rested and healthy and ready to go. You can come out of it with your timing not there because you've missed a week of competition unless you're able to get some time 1s versus 1s in a practice with somebody. Central having that week 2 bye, that bye so early, I don't know how they're going to come out of it, and I just don't know that they can stop Ridgefield right now.
Well, that's a good point right there, because I think that as a whole, Stanford is a better team than Central right now. If you put those 2 teams together on a field, Stanford comes away with a win. Ridgefield just blanked the Black Knights 49-0. So 2 big questions are, is Central going to be able to get anything going offensively? And do the Tigers stop scoring at any point in time? There's no 50-point rule anymore. At 35 points in the second half, the clock starts to just run, but there's nothing stopping the second string, third string, fourth string guys on the Tigers from continuing to find ways into the end zone. Could this be similar to week 1, a 50-plus blowout like we saw Staples put on Central?
It easily could be, but we kind of the defense. Tigers' defense looked so good last week against Stanford. This could be another shutout for them. That would be a nice week again for the Richfield Tigers defense to go 2 weeks in a row with shutouts against 2 opponents, 2 FCX opponents. That would be a huge plus and a huge confidence booster for this Richfield Tigers defense, who, John, bring back a lot from that roster last year.
Tigers pitch a second straight shutout. They open a lot of eyes, and then that makes for a very intriguing matchup to open in 2 weeks in October when they play Staples, that first Friday night in October.
They got Wilton on Friday night too.
And Wilton.
It would be a very, very interesting game. You've got Wilton later on in the schedule as well. So I think Ridgefield doing the right thing. They've got definitely trending in the right direction. It's just for Central right now, you hope they can weather this storm a little bit and continue to see the positive. This is a tough first half of the schedule.
It's a very tough first half of the schedule for the Hilltoppers. And it's a program I really want to see succeed because those kids need that. And you are seeing some success at some of the other schools in Bridgeport. I'd like to see them start to, have some success because those kids deserve it if they work for it.
No, I agree with you. Those kids deserve it too, and they work so hard too throughout the season, throughout the off season as well. And I think it's a program that's trending upwards. It's getting there. They're slowly getting there, and they will get there. It's I think they like to. And for Richfield, they had to expect a Hilltopper team that's going to come out and play pretty tough those first couple minutes there. So yeah, you can't take them pretty lightly because this is a Central team that even though they're coming off a bye week, which I'm still not a fan of early on for the Hilltoppers, they're still going to be motivated and ready to go on Friday night.
Let's go to our next game from Friday night. West Hill travels to Danbury. West Hill coming off a 26-21 win over Norwalk, an exciting and exhilarating win for the Vikings to get to 2-0 on the road last week. They stay on the road now. They go to Danbury. And, John, the biggest concern for me with the Vikings, do not get caught looking ahead to New Canaan.
Don't get caught looking ahead to New Canaan, and they were already fired up for that when we saw them on Saturday. They were at the Greenwich Trinity Catholic game that we covered, and make sure you protect the football because we talked about it going into last Friday night's game, and really for the better part of 3 quarters, they did a much better job protecting the football, keeping it off the ground. And then the 4th quarter, and you were back to the team that turned the ball over 7 times against Ludlow.
This is a Danbury team, Kevin, that was up 7-0 on New Canaan. They forced some issues for the Rams defensively early on. Obviously, stopping the option is always a hassle in today's game. So I think the Hatters can cause a lot of havoc for the Vikings, but ultimately, if they ride Saquon Kelly, they shouldn't have any issues.
No, if you have Saquon Kelly, who's playing great right now as running back, but it's the West Hill defense that I was really impressed with against Norwalk, especially stopping A.J. Hall. If they can continue to play well on Friday night, then I expect West Hill to roll and improve to 3-0. What a start that West Hill could have. And that's the big thing. They can't look ahead because if I'm in the coaching staff, you got to focus on telling them, let's focus on this week. Let's get to 3-0 because getting to 3-0 is a really impressive start for a team like West Hill.
Puts you into a great position heading into your Week 4 matchup with New Canaan. They have got Greenwich, Trumbull, Wilton, and Trinity on the back end of their schedule, John. So right now, though, looking at this schedule, West Hill can win 7 games, in my opinion. Yeah, I really believe that.
I think so because there's winnable games there. Capital Prep, I don't know what they have this year. They're in the CSC. Generally a very athletic team, but if they get vertical on you in the spread, West Hill can do the same thing to you. Greenwich,
that'll be a good game.
I don't see anybody stopping Greenwich at the moment. The Trinity game is interesting, but I think West Hill might have a little more ability with the deep ball, to work the deep ball than Trinity can. And then Wilton and Stanford, I think 7 games is within reach, and that would be a huge accomplishment for the West Hill Vikings.
You're on the road for Greenwich. There's a little bit of extra motivation there coming off of that game last year. Trumbull will be a tough game. You get them at home at least. Wilton on the road, that's going to be just a slugfest on the line. Trinity and Stanford, I think you're better than both the teams, and that Trinity matchup, depth is going to be a huge issue, and that goes against the Crusaders. Capital, it should be good. New Canaan, they get at Boyle on a Thursday night off a short week, so could be some surprises there. We'll keep an eye on that, but I think the Vikings roll probably 3 scores. They can get it going against Danbury. Quickly, let's look at the last Friday night game before we go to break. Norwalk hosts Fairfield Ludlow. Falcons coming off a 33-0 loss to Trumbull. And, of course, Norwalk, that 26-21 loss against West Hill. I think Norwalk's got more than enough. Ludlow, I appreciate that it's a new regime. They're doing a lot of the right things. They're positive and trending in the right direction. They're still far away.
They, again, are unfortunate enough to catch a team coming off a loss. And football makes you wait that week, and that loss eats away at you for that week, and you just can't wait to get on the field and take that out on somebody. And a Norwalk team that's got an A.J. Hall, who I think can get past anybody Ludlow's got in the secondary. I think they can't stop it.
It's too much. And I'm most interested in this game to see how Kyle Gordon bounces back. Tough performance under pressure. He throws 4 picks in that game, and he's still only a sophomore. How does the youngster respond now? That's what I want to see.
This is the game where he can bounce back. He can feel more comfortable in the pocket because while Ludlow is doing the right things, they're trending the right direction, they're starting a new regime, they're getting some positive motivation in there, they still don't have the talent there that I don't think Kyle Gordon can sit there. And I think this is the game that he can bounce back. And John, like you mentioned, A.J. Hall, I think it's just going to be too much for the secondary for Ludlow.
Yeah, I just don't see. This is a team that in the secondary for the past couple of years has struggled. And they don't have anybody with the size of A.J. Hall. You have a size mismatch at alignment.
There are weapons across the board. They got to stop the run inside. They've got to tackle. Ludlow still figuring a lot out here in year one under Coach Mitch Ross. Norwalk stays in contention early on. The Bears will have their work cut out for them, but trending in the right direction. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we get back, we look at Saturday's games, and still ahead, we'll look at our games of the week. Trumbull at New Canaan and St. Joe's, number 3, at Darien, number 1 in the state. That's coming up next on the HAN Network.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 3 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien, or in the Westport Medical Center at 323 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Go to coastalorthoct.com. Like them on Facebook.
At the office of Dr. David Oshiro of Darien, we provide high-quality and personalized orthodontic treatment in a professional and caring environment. We make treatment fun for our young patients and believe it's never too late to have a healthy and beautiful smile. Call now for an appointment and find out more at droshiro.com.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
I'm Tracy Masella, a licensed clinical social worker at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan. Join me each month as we talk with experts on the front lines of the treatment of mental health and addiction. Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, airs at 12 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month here on the HAN Network.
Back on the HAN Network, Frank Granito with Kevin Coleman and John Kovach looking at the upcoming weekend of FCX football games. We just got through Friday. We look ahead to Saturday, 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. This, I think, one of the most interesting matchups around the state this weekend. Wilton at Fairfield Ward. You remember last year, this game, a 21-14 Warriors victory in overtime. Very emotional. It really propelled the Warriors to that big season they had, just missing out on the States. But Ward coming off a big loss, Wilton coming off a big loss. One of these teams has to rebound. Who do you think it is, John?
I just think Wilton is a little bit better prepared to win that one than Ward, though I do see a lot out of Ward. That first week win over Stanford, a gutsy win. They fought back. I wouldn't be surprised if Ward were to win that, but based on the week 1 performance that we saw out of Wilton, I could see Wilton just getting behind the offensive line and just running the ball and shortening this game.
Oh, I'm glad you talked about going behind the line, running the ball. I know we can't hear him, but I do just want to throw a question to our director, Mike Suppy, in the back. Suppy, over under 90 minutes on that game, because I see both teams getting in the I formation and just pounding it down the throats of the defense.
No, I almost said that.
I'll take the over.
No way that a football
Wow.
game in 2017 could last less than 90 minutes. Cav, I think we see a heavy dose of Harvey Alexander. The Warriors are going to try to bounce back. After you lose a game 49-3, you really want to try to establish the run game, dictate the pace of the game, and take control in some sense.
That's right. You're going to see a lot of Harvey Alexander on Saturday morning. And I think Coach Bruce Cunningham is not going to allow another loss, because you lose to Staples 49-3 and get embarrassed. He's not going to allow that this week. Especially, this is a very talented Ward team. These two teams are going to battle. This is going to be a tough game for both sides, but Wilton's going to edge. And I think they do, because they have Harvey Alexander, who's, I think, is going to take over. I think he's going to be able to run the ball a lot, get some good carries, get some good chunks of yards, and maybe get a couple touchdowns.
You know, not for nothing, Frank, we talked last week about Staples Wilton being this old school smash mouth, you know, two heavyweights exchanging blows. Maybe this is the game that's what we thought we were going to get out of Staples Wilton.
It could be for sure, and this is a game that Ward has had circled on their calendars. Going all the way back to last year, they felt as though they should have won that opener at Wilton. So a lot of extra motion on the side of the Mustangs. I'm interested to see how they come out, what kind of tone they set early on from their home stadium. Let's look now. You've got Staples at Brian McMahon at 1:30. McMahon is 0-2, coming off a tough loss, 47-0 against Darien. I don't think the Senators have enough in this one. Staples is playing well. My question for you two will be, is Staples for real this year?
I think they're for real. That defense looks pretty good. Stopping Harvey Alexander and the Wilton Warriors like that, like they did last week, putting up 49 points. And Wilton's defense is good. They're not bad, John. I think this is a talented Wilton team. They beat up on them, so I think this Staples team is for real this year.
When I saw them against Fairfield Prep in the game scrimmage, I was really impressed on both sides of the ball. I thought they tackled well. They got guys to the ball, and they moved the ball in different ways. We saw some new wrinkles out of the Wreckers. I think they're out to send a message to the FCAC that Staples football is back after what was kind of a down year for them. I don't see them slowing up here. The only thing that could slow them down is if they got a little, you know, you can come off a 49-3 win and think you don't do anything wrong. I'm sure Mars Petrocchio did a lot to guard against that this week and reminded them that they still have a long way to go. I honestly see this Staples team being in the hunt all the way to Thanksgiving.
They're off to a great start. They've scored 49 and 52 offensively. They've surrendered 3 points all season. Now, those are, I don't even know if you could put Wilton in this category. Those are against lesser opponents, and I thought Wilton would stand up a little bit better, but they're doing the job, and they're doing it well right now. Last Saturday game, it's at 4 p.m., a standalone in the afternoon. You've got Trinity Catholic at Stanford. Chapter 1 of the Stanford City Championships. I'm going to lean Trinity Catholic early on, but there's a lot of concern about depth and some of the players after going through a very tough game in the heat Saturday against a very good Greenwich team.
Yeah, normally you would lean on the depth to the team that's playing Trinity Catholic, but I don't know that Stanford has that good of numbers this year. I think you could, this one's kind of a coin toss. Trinity Catholic rallied in their opener against Danbury. They pulled away late. If it's a tight game, I think they have been there and have shown they can win it before. I don't know that Stanford's proven that yet.
Stanford could be in trouble with a loss here as well. You get Darien next, then the bye. Friday, October 13th against Brian McMahon. That game right now, and you hate to say this, could be determining which team finishes the season with one or zero wins. Because then they have St. Joe's, Wilton, Staples, and West Hill also looming on the calendar. I like what Coach Shamar is doing in Stanford, but right now the Black Knights are in a little bit of turmoil.
Well, my only worry is for both sides is how are they getting motivated this week for this upcoming game? Because of what happened this past week. They both lost pretty big. So what's the mindset on both sides? I think hopefully they can, move past, get towards Saturday, and worry about this, inter-city rivalry in a way, Trinity and Stanford. So I like Trinity in this game, but my only worry is, how motivated are these teams after some crushing losses?
That game at 4 p.m. Let's step aside. When we get back, we're going to look ahead to our 2 games of the week, big ones featuring Trumbull, New Canaan, Darien, and St. Joe's. That's next on the HAN Network.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during the summer clearance event, you'll find some of our best prices too. Like this lease on a 2017 Ram Quad Cab Express for $149 a month. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Richfield, PambyZone.com.
CT City Lacrosse is dedicated to the growth of lacrosse for youth and high school players. Directed by Stanford High head coach Mike Nazaro, we help players reach full potential on and off the field. With an indoor facility in Stanford, we offer year-round training, camps, clinics, and private instruction. Visit ctcitylax.com for more.
New Canaan Foreign Car. Yes, New Canaan Foreign Car has been servicing all makes of foreign cars for over 50 years. We also buy, sell, and consign cars too. We can help you with all your automotive needs from service to sales. Call us at 203-966-2681.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Back on the HAN Network, our football preview show, looking to week 3. Let's start with Friday night's game of the week. Trumbull at New Canaan. Both teams lose on the opening weekend, bounce back with wins in week 2. Now, the season on the line every week moving forward, and one of these teams is going to be pushed to the brink of elimination early on. I think that New Canaan should have enough to handle Trumbull. I don't think Trumbull has looked as good as they could have or as good as we expected them to through these first 2 weeks. But the Rams still have a lot of issues on the offensive side, and they are struggling to really click and fire on all cylinders.
Well, excuse me, John, that's why I think that defense is going to step up big for the Rams tomorrow night. They're going to come after Colton Nicholas, and I expect the defense to really win this game for the Rams tomorrow. I think the offense is starting to figure it out, John. They're starting to get there. If they can establish the run, get Owen Shin more involved, which we didn't see against St. Joe's, and once he started getting going, you could see the speed he has once he gets those holes to the offensive line, and even if he breaks out to the outside. But I do expect the Rams to take care of business tomorrow night, but you can't discredit Trumbull. This is a talented team, but at the end of the day, I think the defense for the Rams is going to step up big.
I wouldn't disagree. What scares me if I'm New Canaan is ball security.
I think Pine will be okay. I think Drew Pine is trending in the right direction. If I'm Trumbull right now, and everything I've seen from the first 2 weeks, I'm getting back into empty like we saw a lot of against Greenwich in week 1. I'm attacking that New Canaan secondary. It's a young, inexperienced group. They're a little undersized, and they looked vulnerable against St. Joe's. I'm getting out there. I'm going to let Nicholas throw the ball up. Let's put him on display, see how good he is, and I'm going to try to isolate their weak spot.
Well, they did that against Ludlow. When they got the chance early, they took shots. I think early on is going to tell in this game. Early on, I think Trumbull's going to put the ball up, which they like to do from time to time, get vertical, and if they can pop a couple on New Canaan, then we see how New Canaan responds. Now, Danbury scored first last week, And I almost wonder if that wasn't a smack in the face for the Rams, because they then scored 42 straight.
They scored 42 straight. It was 21-7 at half, and that included a touchdown in the last 2 minutes where they started with possession on the 30-yard line after a punt. So, again, the offense is struggling there. I don't know that they've ever lost consecutive games at home since Dunning Field was opened up in 1997.
I don't think they have.
So it's very interesting. I think the Rams respond and bounce back, but Trumbull will have their opportunities. But again, now looking at the negatives to the Trumbull side of things, they get the win against Ludlow last week. They were handed some gifts on defense. I think turnovers play a huge role in this, but Trumbull has not been impressive through the first 2 weeks. And this is a Trumbull team that many expected to be right on the cusp of the state playoffs.
We all did. I think we all expected Trumbull to be there. We all expected them to put up at least a little bit of a better fight against Greenwich. Greenwich exposed them. Yes, to get a nice bounce-back win against Ludlow, but this is going to be a big test for them tomorrow against New Canaan. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know that Trumbull's there yet. In talking to them, I hear young a lot. I hear we're a year away. I hear we've got to grow. Up front, I think New Canaan's got an advantage because I didn't think the Trumbull line was the biggest I've seen this season. If New Canaan can open up some lanes for Shin and take some of that pressure off of Pine, and if Pine can read his progression, New Canaan won't have a problem.
It'll be an interesting matchup for sure on both sides. That game starts at 7 p.m. We will be on the air at 6:45 from Dunning Field tomorrow night. And then we've got the big one on Saturday afternoon. Number 3 St. Joe's looking to knock off the number 1 team in the state for the second time in 3 weeks. Let's start with the Cadets. If they're going to pull off another upset here, what do they have to do?
I think their defense needs to cause some turnovers. I think they need to put some pressure on Joyce. Stop the run game with Mitchell Pryor. We know how good he is on the run. I think if they cause some turnovers and they keep the offense on the field, there's a good chance that St. Joe's pulls the upset on the road.
I think they could pull the upset. What scares me a little bit is when they beat New Canaan, there were a few times where they lost contain. They did a tremendous job of putting pressure on Drew Pine. They came from every conceivable angle. They close quick. They're very quick in terms of closing in on that short out. But there were times when they got pressure that the outermost man coming in on the quarterback allowed himself to get blocked from the outside in. And that gave Pine the outside and room to run. If you do that with Joyce, he's going to make you pay.
I agree 100% that Joyce is extremely capable as a runner, probably a better runner than he is pocket passer. I give the advantage to the St. Joe's blitz, though, John, in the defense, because I'm not 100% sold on the Dariano line yet. It's still early in the year, and this is another new group of guys, but they don't have the size they've had in the past. I haven't been that impressed on the film that I've seen. The strength of this Darien team comes at the skill positions, both offensively and defensively. If the Cadets can get pressure early on, force some 3-and-outs, maybe score the same way they did against Darien, and they force them to chase, I don't know how Joyce responds throwing from the pocket.
Oh, I would not disagree that pressure is going to be key in that. I mean, I honestly think St. Joe's can take the game plan from week 1, where we saw them beat New Canaan, and just about duplicate it. And I thought at the skill positions, St. Joe's did a good job. Pressure made a huge difference. The times they ran into trouble, it was losing outside leverage. If they fix that and can hold on to the outside leverage, then I think they stand a real chance at knocking off Darien, and then we'll see if they vault to number 1.
And that's why I said I think if you put pressure on Joyce, I think that's going to see what this offensive line can do, just like Frank said. But if you put pressure on Joyce, make him escape the pocket, cause some turnovers, there is a great chance on Saturday we could see an upset, maybe possibly a new number 1 in the state of Connecticut.
That being said, I don't think they can beat Darien. I think Coach Trafone does a better job than anyone in the state getting his team ready to play against teams that they're supposed to handle. I think this is a Darien team that's supposed to handle St. Joe's. They get it done again. The win streak goes to 28. I don't know that I see Darien losing. It's tough for me right now.
Well, it's been so long since you've seen it. How do you? We don't know what it looks like anymore. We don't know what to recognize, and it's going to happen at some point, and it often comes out of nowhere at you. But this is one that could be a test of that streak.
But I also think these seniors and the rest of the team on this roster, I think they enjoy that they kind of have the target on their back, and each week they kind of know that people want them to lose. They use that as motivation, I feel like. So even this week, I still think Darien's still the top. They're still on the top of the mountain until someone knocks them off. Could be Saturday. It could not be until next year. But I still think they enjoy that feeling that people want them to lose, and they're just so talented enough they just keep on winning.
There are times though when a team goes into a game and they know they're going to be the team that ends a streak like that. And I'll tell a story on it. And it was before I was a coach at Fairfield Prep, years before I was a coach at Fairfield Prep. But the late Richie Magden, God bless him, in the locker room one night before a pivotal game, told the kids about a player the night that Prep ended Cheshire's then epic state record win streak. And they knew just how they knew that week. And one of the players in the locker room just saying over and over again to his team, this ends tonight. They just knew. And I just wonder what we're going to see out of St. Joe's. Is St. Joe's going to show up with the belief that this ends Saturday? And I don't know.
We'll find out. I do want to mention this before the show ends. The CIAC football just tweeted out what will most likely be the lowest scoring game of the season this year. Kennedy has defeated Holy Cross 1-0 via a forfeit due to an ineligible player.
Wow.
So, not your everyday football score. More like soccer. Sounds like a pretty boring game. Here we go. We are done for the afternoon. We're back tomorrow from New Canaan High School. 6:45. We're on the air to get you ready for Trumbull and New Canaan. And we've got FCAC Tailgate Saturday morning at 11:30 from Darien. We'll get you ready in every way you need to be for the big matchup, number 3 and number 1, 1:30 from Darien High School, and the Blue Wave host the Cadets. For John Kovacs, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you tomorrow evening for some high school football on the HAN Network.